Hello, I'm Pam Jardine. In this episode, Kirkland employs leading-edge technology to improve our understanding of potential geohazards in Kirkland. The Youth Council shows teens how to overcome harmful stereotypes, groundbreaking news for downtown Kirkland, and we visit the Kirkland Police Explorers Benefit Car Show, all in this edition of Currently Kirkland. The Oso landslide that came crashing down in March of 2014 is seared in the collective conscience of the Pacific Northwest. The loss of life, devastation of public infrastructure, and impact to the community on every level shook not only the ground in Oso, but every community across the state.
Well, I think the tragic loss of life and property from the Oso landslide was really a wake-up call. The state of Washington and Puget Sound in particular are quite prone to earthquakes, landslides, and severe erosion. Fortunately, in Kirkland, we haven't had a major event, but we're trying to make sure we understand the risks associated with those occurrences.
Since the 1970s, the city of Kirkland has evaluated landslide hazards through the city's mapping or geographic information system. In the early 1990s, the city worked with King County and geologists on steep slopes, soils, and groundwater conditions. They analyzed the data and put it into maps according to high-risk and medium-risk categories.
Well, these maps are used by engineers, by planners, by the public to better understand the risk associated with landslides or earthquakes. When we look at a development proposal, for example, we try to identify mitigation strategies or construction techniques to either avoid or minimize those risks.
In 2001, mapping was enhanced using a light detection and ranging system referred to as LIDAR. LIDAR is like radar, except it uses lasers instead of radio waves, firing off bursts of light in quick succession to collect precise distance measurements in order to produce a three-dimensional map. The last 15 years have seen rapid improvement in LIDAR technology.
The new LIDAR, we're so excited to have it because it's 8 times better. We have 8 times the resolution that we had back in the early 2000s. Geologists love to have LIDAR. It's amazing way to look at the ground surface. It gives us good resolution of the shape of the ground surface.
GIS and LIDAR together provided good visual indications of landslide risk. However, maps cannot predict landslides. The Kirkland City Council provided funding to create state-of-the-art geological hazard maps and data for the entire city.
So the City Council recognized the need to have state-of-the-art, best available science, and to that end they funded our effort to undertake this complete evaluation of our geologic conditions and our mapping effort in order to come up with better development standards and risk assessment.
City staff is now working with Kathy Troost and her colleagues at the University of Washington's Department of Earth and Space Sciences GeoMap Northwest Center to expand previous information.
So our team of scientists from the University of Washington are working very closely with several departments: Public Works, Building, Emergency Management, looking at soil boring data, looking at groundwater data, and certainly landslide activity to determine the best approach to recommend future standards or development practices when they completed their work.
There are several products that will come out of the collaboration with the GeoMap Northwest Center. The first will be to expand the 2010 geologic map to include annexed areas.
From this map, we can then create earthquake hazard maps, infiltration potential maps, and we have the base knowledge using this geologic map to make these other maps. We'll be doing that in a couple of ways. One is by looking at this LIDAR map and simply outlining things as we see them on the map, and then the other is by finding anecdotal information.
This summer, Kathy Troost from GeoMap Northwest has been in the field in Kirkland looking at excavation points, focusing mostly on the areas of the city annexed in 2011. She and her team have uncovered several thick sand layers, but the part that has them excited the most is groundwater.
So as part of our geologic mapping, we like to see deep excavations because it gives us a window into the subsurface. Not only can we see what the material looks like up close and feel it and describe it, but we can also see where water is coming out of it, so it tells us something as well about where the water table is in this area.
It's been an exciting effort. We've been working on this for several months, and I think it's a great opportunity for the city to be on the leading edge on this mapping effort and really implement some of the recommendations that came out of the commission on the 530 Oso landslide that the governor appointed. But also we need help from the community. We're asking for anyone with previous knowledge of landslides or other hazards to contact the city. We have a very simple online survey for people to fill out if they're interested in participating.
More information can be found at the website on your screen.
We intend to have our mapping completed by early 2017. With that information in hand, we will then be making recommendations to the Planning Commission and City Council.
The Kirkland Youth Council has completed its latest We've Got Issues video. Every year, the Youth Council produces a video tackling issues relevant to teens in Kirkland.
The Kirkland Youth Council gets together and we just throw on some topics that us as youth think that would be prominent and relevant to what's going on right now in the community.
This year, the Youth Council depicts a classic detention story about stereotypes, how it affects and can even threaten teens.
Lately in schools, especially for kids, it's become a lot more indirect rather than direct.
A stereotype threat is defined as being at risk of a negative stereotype about one's group. The much-cited Steele and Aronson study on stereotypes confirms that stereotype-threatened students can experience distraction, narrow detention, anxiety, self-consciousness, withdrawal of effort, and over-effort. Stereotype threats have the power to undermine standardized test performance. The video shows the pressures that stereotypes can put on teens. It helps teens understand that there's a real person behind the stereotypical nerd, jock, stoner, and intellectual.
Guys, stop fighting. Why can't we all just get along?
Whatever, dude. Weird.
I was a part of the filming process. I was one of the actors. So it was a group of like 5 kids who all came from different backgrounds, and they were all in detention together. And at first, there was a lot of tension between all the characters, but towards the end, they kind of came together and overcame the stereotypes that were set in place by society.
To watch the Cleanup Club, go to Kirkland Television on YouTube. The video is just one of the many projects that the Kirkland Youth Council does throughout the year.
The Youth Council every other year puts on a summit, which is basically getting all kids from all different schools to come together and kind of get their input on what they think is going on in the community, what needs work on, and what we can do to help. We do the summit, we do a bunch of service projects, we help out at the senior center, we do park cleanups, we do food drives, everything like that. We do teen traffic court, which is where people can come in who have traffic tickets if they're under 18, and they can come in and kind of plead their case and everything and either get it reduced or change to community service.
The group is a way for youth to learn leadership skills, make a difference in their community, and have some fun along the way.
We have up to like 6th graders on the council, all the way up to like seniors in high school. Every time we bring up a topic or anything that we think is centered towards one group, we have a different perspective from other ages.
If you're interested in joining the Youth Council, go to kirklandwa.gov/youth. As the groundbreaking shovels hit the dirt for the new Kirkland Urban Project in downtown Kirkland, we pause to remember Park Place, an iconic structure that played an important part in the lives of many members of our community.
It came down fast. It seemed like one day it was there, and a couple of days later, there was only rubble.
I'm all for the change and improving and kind of staying with the times, and I know that Kirkland Urban's going to be really nice, and yet when I see it being demolished, I think about all the memories I had.
I was very comfortable with the bookstore, the bagel shop, the movie theater, and I like the quaintness of the movie theater. It was kind of like a family there.
The once thriving commercial space was built in the early 1980s. It played a big part in the lives of many Kirkland residents.
You know, the Hoffman's and the Hallmark store, and taking my kids through here to eat at various restaurants, so it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
In 2008, Touchstone Corporation partnered with Prudential Real Estate investors and purchased the property, proposing to the city the development of a project up to 1.8 million square feet. Their proposal was strongly opposed by many residents. Touchstone later backed out, selling their share of the property back to Prudential, who then hired Talon Private Capital as the project developer. At the groundbreaking for the project, Bill Pollard, co-founder and managing principal of Talon, explained how they went the extra mile to ensure this project was met with community approval.
My partner and I met with over 42 meetings with the various neighborhood associations. We learned a great deal, and every one of them added something to what you'll see at the end of the day with this project. So I hope that this holds up to the standards that the neighbors and the neighborhoods have entrusted us to portray, and we're confident we have.
Kirkland Mayor Amy Wallen was delighted with the project.
We often talk about in Kirkland our quality of life is our economic development strategy. It's pretty simple, and this project helps us achieve that. It's a live, work, play project. What we hope to do is have our residents be able to live, work, and play in their own community.
The new mixed-space development will cater to the 18-hour day. It's based on the notion that life doesn't stop before or after work. They hope to revolutionize the experience that people have in a mixed-use opportunity. Office, retail, and residential space will allow the entire community to enjoy the new development.
You know, Kirkland is very clearly a special and unique place. And if there's one thing, my partner Jim and I both live right on the outskirts. And what we knew going into this was that Kirkland is special and it's never going to be replicated. So this is not like another city or another market or another development. This development had to be Kirkland. It had to be authentic. It had to have a soul. It had to have a heart. It had to be what makes Kirkland Kirkland.
The Kirkland Police pulled in a lot of cars on Saturday, September 10th, but it wasn't about tickets. It was all about fun, music, car appreciation, and donations to benefit a special group of young people.
It was hard to pick out a favorite from the lineup of cars at the second annual Kirkland Police Car Show this September. There were hot rods, old classics, even one that looked old but was outfitted with the latest technology.
This is a 1996 Chevrolet S10. And when I bought it, it had a V6 engine in it, and I wanted to recycle it. So I removed the V6 engine, put in an electric motor, a large electric motor, and a battery pack. And so now it's totally electric, and I've gone, actually now, more than 10,000 oil-free miles. I show this truck at schools and have a lot of educational things on display in the back, and I thought maybe I can see if I can enter this car show. So I'm the only electric vehicle here, and I have talked to a lot of kids. So that was my motivation for this one.
Mr. Ryan's enthusiasm for teaching kids matches the theme of the police car show exactly. In fact, as Police Chief Sherry Harris told us, the reason they put on the show is to support the Police Explorers program, a mentoring program for young people interested in law enforcement.
We're actually raising money for our police explorers, who are youth ages 14 to 20. Not only are they part of a program that allows them to learn about law enforcement, but they do a lot of community service in and around the city of Kirkland. You'll see them at the 4th of July parade and throughout special events. So we have a number of volunteers, both within our department, Explorer advisors, and other city employees that have helped us, as well as some sponsors like Fiat of Kirkland.
It's a lot of fun. Kirkland's a wonderful city. Our business is here, so we like to be involved in the community. The police department still has a very nice small town feel to it. They're wonderful folks to work with.
Christian Thomaser has been part of the Police Explorers program for the last year.
I've been interested in law enforcement since I don't even know when I was a kid. I didn't know about the Explorers program until a close friend of ours who works with law enforcement told me about the Explorers program. And so I figured I'd go check it out. Came to the first meeting, got to click on all the lights and dials on a squad car and fell in love,
They have annually an academy that they go to with other explorers from around the state. It's kind of like a mini academy, boot camp, if you will, where they're learning some skills, defensive tactics, a little bit about the law, and how to carry themselves, bearing, demeanor, do a little bit of marching and some drill and ceremony.
It's down at the Yakima military base. It's a boot camp for practically 6 days. You know, you get there, you get chewed out, you get worked as hard as you possibly think you can ever be worked, and you know, it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot. They're really trying to see if you have the bearing to be a police officer, and it's a great activity. It's a great academy. It's hard. It's stressful. It's difficult, but it's awesome.
Ultimately, while they're learning about law enforcement, they're also serving the community of Kirkland.
I came back from academy going, yes ma'am, yes sir, to everything my parents said, just because I was drilled in my head, and you know, it definitely gives you respect for the people in your life. You know, it's been an amazing experience so far, and I'm pretty new too, and it's been an amazing experience so far.
This year's show raised more than $2,400. This is only the second annual show. Next year, the police hope they can count on the community for even more support.
Oh, I think this is a marvelous cause, and anything we can do to help our youth is a positive. So I'm 100% in favor and supportive of what the Kirkland Police Department's doing here.
All throughout, really, this time I've been an explorer, I've been more careful. I've noticed things that maybe like I wouldn't have noticed before. Like I go 35 in a 35 instead of 40 in a 35. You know, it really gives you that kind of moral standard you have to live by.
Is everyone having a good time today?
It gives you a different perspective on the world around you. You know.
Thank you for watching our show. Currently Kirkland can be in the palm of your hand. Subscribe to Kirkland Television on YouTube. We air on KGov and KLife. Send us your news tips, story ideas, and suggestions to kirklandtv@kirklandwa.gov.